Well, I don't have a transcendent point of view of my own, but I do believe that the pace of secularization was slowed down significantly with the halt of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. I was brought up as a Cold War baby. I grew up in that atmosphere of the nuclear deterrence and so forth. And when it stopped, I mean, the prediction was that religion would go away after a while. There would be a free and classless society, according to Marx, and a withering away of the state. Well, none of that happened. And in confrontation with the U.S. in a Cold War fashion, when that form of championing of secularism stopped, and all of a sudden you open a door and there's all this faith in the former Soviet Union. It's all over the place. It had been all over the place. It was just under wraps. It let it loose again. I was in Cuba this year, and I asked the question about what percentage of the population attends church to a professor from University of Havana, and she said about 8 to 10%. I said, well, I saw pictures of the Pope and his visit here, and it was throngs of people surrounding him. She said, oh, well, that was the Pope. I said, well, what's the difference? She said, because basically she was old enough to have believed that the revolution and its tenets were going to work out. And on that score, she saw the withering away of religion. But when the Pope came, it showed just where the people were. So it was not computing, in other words. The contact points were not making it. So I would say that secularization has slowed down dramatically. There is a unleashing of religious spirit around the world. Some of it is frightening in the more extreme fundamentalist forms in many cultures. But also it's heartening to see that people are actually wanting to know more about this spiritual beyond or depth experience of life, and they are asking questions. The people with the answers, the ready answers, tend to be on the more conservative end, and they have really made contact with this hunger. And if you look at the conservative churches growing, there are people who are going to get answers to life's biggest questions. So it behooves the mainstream church to see which way the society's going and trying to tap into where the questions are, rather than hoping that when you open the doors of the church that people will flood in to ask those questions. So it's a long answer to a question about secularization, but I do believe it has slowed significantly.